There are many folks on YouTube stating that there is a direct access to the Atman, but is that really even possible? Let's take a look into this in depth in this video. Hello friends, welcome to my channel All Things Spiritual. In this video, we will look at direct access. Is it even possible for a person who is living his day-to-day life? Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel. There are a lot of people in YouTube claiming that there is direct access to the Atman. This would mean that there is direct access to that one that pervades everything. It is the basis of all awareness and existence and has no beginning and no end. The Jiva, on the other hand, is bounded in every direction by limitations, hurdles, obstacles, contradictions, opposites, and more than anything else, by the repeated cycles of birth and death. The Jivatma has to evolve adequately to shed the dependence on the worldly sustenance and to attain a level of independence of the Paramatma. When this happens, the Jivatma and the Paramatma merge and the Jivatma's cycle of birth and death ends. The journey concludes when this happens. The Jivatma is housed within its birth shell, which is comprised of the gross body, the subtle and the causal body. And in the subtle body only does the mind arise, and we have already seen this in a previous video. And the subtle body is made up of the following entities. We have 5 knowledge senses or the Jnana Indriyas, the ears, skin, eyes, tongue, nose, and we have 5 action senses or the karma indriyas as voice, hand, feet, anus and genitalia. 5 elements: earth, water, air, fire and space. 5 life forces or pranas, and the mind with its 4 compartments: the ego, intelligence, emotion and thought generation. The 6th aspect is ignorance, which engulfs every living being, and in order to destroy it we need the knowledge to cross the ignorance barrier. It is due to this ignorance that man does not know God, and no person is able to know his or her own Atma. The 7th one is desires. These are our cravings, and just as we like to be rich and acquire material possessions in our lives, if we were to have no desires, we would have still been cavemen. Due to desires, therefore, progress happens and we get kings and rulers. In their own sense, since they are a cause of progress in man, they are not bad in themselves, but the desires that generate attachments that engulfs the jiva are therefore bad. It is due to the selfish motives of the person. And the last one is karma, or the action that the individual performs and is bounded in his worldly existence. These 8 are the cause of our subtle body, and hence it is called 8-limb or Ashtanga. The subtle layer is next to the gross form of the individual and is born of the Mahabhutas or the 5 elements, which are earth, water, air and space. Since all these are part of the subtle body, all that is going on is part of the subtle layer, and the gross form is just the fructification of those subtle desires. So you see, there are various boundaries that the jiva is bound to as seen from the Ashtanga point of view. The boundaries could also be demonstrated from the point of view of the aspect of the koshas of the different bodies of the jiva, and this I have discussed before in a previous video, but I will reiterate this again. And we have the Annamaya kosha, which is the food sheath, which is comprised of the earth element, the Pranamaya kosha or the vital sheath, which is made up of the water element, the Manomaya kosha or the mental sheath is made up of the fire element, the Vijnanmaya kosha or the intellectual or the intuitive sheath is made up of the air element, and the Anandmaya kosha, the bliss sheath, which is made up of the space element. Now you see, these layers are either part of the gross body, as an example the Annamaya kosha, the subtle body with an example of the Pranamaya kosha, Manomaya kosha, Vijnanmaya kosha, or the causal body, which is the Anandmaya kosha. The jiva therefore has in in itself build up a lot of barriers. These are something I would say that interferes us to therefore experience our Atman. If those so-called people who tell us that we could experience our Atman, why are their claims then not being held up? Why are we not able to experience our Atman then? Are these people trying to claim that there is something like a direct access to the Atman? The claim to the direct access would be debunked with a certain understanding that due to the various bodies that the Jiva inherits based on his karmas, the direct access to our Atman wouldn't therefore be possible due to these bodies that are a cause of hindrance to the Jiva to gain access to his or her Atman. But wait a minute, all hope is not lost yet. Is it not possible to have any sort of experience of the Atman then? What would that experience be like? Is such an experience even possible? Many people would say it's not possible to have an experience of the Atman, but in reality, what the Jiva would experience would be through the light and bliss that the light exhumes to the emotional centers of the Jiva. So the Atman gives the Jiva an experience of the glimpse of what the feel could be like, but it's just a reflection of what the Atman is. It is not the reality. And this reflection happens on the mind of the Jiva, and through deep meditation, Jiva would come by such a state of illumination of the mind. So it's very critical to understand that once you see the light, you don't become enlightened. You return back into the world, and you are in the world due to the reflection of the Atman happening on the mind. This reflection is termed as Chidabhasa. You see it by being in the world, and it can be recalled by an experience, and we know then what this light was like by recalling such an experience through the mind. So the main point I like to drive here is that the reflection happens on the mind, and it's not a direct experience from the Jiva's perspective. It's therefore an indirect experience. Anyone therefore who claims otherwise may not be correctly understanding these concepts, and he or she thinks that they have directly experienced their Atman, which is untrue. On the other hand, being worldly, we don't really experience such a light. The person needs to have a little amount of detachment within him so as to wither down his or her desires and water down the constant chatter of the mind so as to be able to get a glimpse of his or her own Chidabhasa. The only way the Jiva experiences his or her Chidabhasa, therefore, is by closing his or her eyes, and when the mind goes totally silent, and it may take years and years of silence, and by watching your own thoughts, it is not that the light remains unknown to the Jiva, but after much yearning, this light then appears to the Jiva, and this is the definite breakthrough that the Jiva is looking for through all his lifetimes of failures. He now can taste what a peaceful life really means to him. He looks up to the skies and he feels liberated, and he or she doesn't feel that he's seen it before, and it does not feel routine to him. He gets absorbed into the sheer beauty of the skies. He listens to the waves of the ocean. He or she can now be in tune with them. All these lifetimes he ignored this bliss, this peacefulness. He ignored in the prospect of his own self and his own ego that he was someone in the world, and he didn't find the true essence of what it feels like to be liberated. The light he then sees shows him this peacefulness, that there is absolute joy in the most mundane aspect of his or her own life. All his life he has spent past these these mundane activities with a hope to feel that he would be finding something different. And now he has found it, and he sees that he was always there, and this peacefulness was always available to him. It was him, and this experience that he had of life was always there, but he chose to ignore it. And now he takes pleasure in the fact that he or she is in the present moment and he is living it and not bothered by anything of the past or the future. He is just in the now, and he is therefore here. The Atman also has waited a long time to relieve the Jiva of this ignorance. Now that he sees the light, there is then an assurance to him or her that God is always with him or her, and he is his chosen candidate to progress further into spirituality. It is not that the light once seen by the Jiva may not face hurdles. The Jiva's life is full of hurdles. The Atman just then smoothens out these hurdles and helps the Jiva in his or her time of need. The consequent effect is that the Jiva gets a lot more confident about life and is then never fearful. He is never worried about results. He has moved beyond them and he is ready for challenges and accepts them head on. Why am I not able to experience this light within me? It's mainly due to the attachment with worldly objects, or the most common problem would be the constant chatter of the mind that doesn't stop. Man cannot divide himself of such a chatter immediately. It takes sufficient amount of time for the man to come to a state of visibility of light within himself or herself. Another question would be that would a Jiva constantly have light visible within him once he has crossed the barrier of being able to see the light? The answer to that would be a no. As Jiva's karmas progress, he or she may be able to see it, and could also be that he may totally lose the ability to see the light later on due to past karmas that were actioned or due to the current karmas that are going on. So, in order to keep the light on, a constant practice without interruptions is therefore necessary for the Jiva to keep seeing the light continuously within him or her. So, what happens in case of saints and beings that are enlightened? Don't they have their Chidabhasa? What's the situation there? The saints have a particular situation where they are not in the Chidabhasa. In a realized person, there emerges a new spiritual body which is known as the universal body or the Mahakaran Sharir, which is the seat of the universal mind. Just as water is contained in a cup, the universal mind may be said to be contained within the universal body. Therefore, through the universal body and the universal mind, though the universal body and the universal mind seem to be separate, they are inseparable from each other. The universal mind of the master which works through the universal body, and this universal body of the master is in direct contact with the mental bodies of individual souls that are in creation, and it can through these mental bodies bring about any changes in the mental, subtle or causal planes. Though the master has a mental body like an ordinary human, he always uses his universal mind, and in the master's soul, the limited ego of the human stage is transmuted into the unlimited ego. That is, the feeling of separateness or narrow individuality is replaced by the realization of unlimited, indivisible and all-comprehensive existence. The soul of the master is endowed with infinite consciousness. The full consciousness of the human stage does not reveal or express the infinity of the soul owing to the limitations of the impressions or the samskaras, but in the master or a saint, the full consciousness is not limited by any of such impressions, and therefore it reveals or expresses the infinity of the soul. So the question then would be as to how come the master has such qualities compared to the jiva, who is so ignorant in his thoughts, words and actions. The main reason is that the master's soul is connected with God beyond, which is the resting place of the masters, and is connected with the God state, and it is connected to all souls of all conscious and of reincarnated states. Therefore, due to this reason, the jiva is not really able to connect with God beyond, and the jiva experiences his own Chidabhasa and cannot experience the Atman directly, or a direct experience is therefore not possible. But there is still a consolation to the fact that the Atman is still accessible to the individual through the Chidabhasa, and that brings in the stability in the life of the individual, and therefore the individual should strive to at least experience the Chidabhasa, and with this experience the individual can attain peaceful life and move upward in his spiritual journey towards moksha. How did you like the video on the direct experience of Atman, and what are your thoughts on it? Please do let me know in the comment section below. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in the next video.